was I in that dryer? Because is this why I'm afraid of tumbling? I had to quit gymnastics, Claire.
A childhood without tumbling? You knew this and just stood by and did nothing?
Okay, what's done is done. All you can do is learn from your mistakes, and in that spirit, I would like to propose a toast to Manny. This week he did something he wasn't supposed to do, like we all do.
Like we all do! Salud to Manny!
Not yet. But Manny stood up like a man. He admitted he was wrong, and he took his licks, and I'm damn proud of him.
Now we clink!
No, we clink when I say we clink. So Manny made a mistake, but he didn't take the easy way out. He's got guts, he's got integrity. As far as I'm concerned, he's the best.
Okay, stop!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. And well, if you're here for the first time, I welcome you to the discussion, or as I'd like to call it, the nth perspective, on 12 Rules for Life by Dr. Jordan Peterson. This is Rule 5 of 12, and if you haven't watched other rules, I will link them down in the description and you'll see cards pop up somewhere at the top of the video as it progresses. Well, not that it's important in context of continuity, but, well, it's definitely worth knowing. Alrighty, without further ado, let's dive in. So, this rule particularly seemed to have been pulled out of context in the continuity sense. Well, at least to me, I guess. I mean, I may need a few more reads before I can make sense of this continuity, but haha. Anyways, but sure, like any other chapter, there are takeaways and I'm here to share mine. Do not let your children do anything that makes you dislike them. I mean, yeah, I cannot relate to this entirely yet, but hold on. I mean, if you were to articulate and fully understand his take on parenting, put into context of course, I'm sure you would agree irrespective of whether or not you're a parent. Yes, you would want to be parented like that, and sure, you would want to be that kind of a parent at some point. Well, the crux is derived through a narrative, and here it goes. The story starts with a boy throwing a fit in the middle of a crowded room. For the sake of argument, let's assume this is outside of home, populated with strangers. In the process, he irritates his parents and everyone else in that room. I'm sure we can all relate to the situation here, right? So, did the parents chastise the kid? Reprimand him in any kind? Well, if they did, despite the tough love that was required to keep that order, then they did the kid a huge favor. Of course, everyone else in that room. And if not, they did damage by omission, which is severe damage most often. Think about that. That's it. It boils down to this question. Was something done to bring order, and how was that order sought? This is the crux of the entire chapter, putting it in simpleton. Children must be shaped and informed, or they cannot thrive. As commonplace as this sounds, it's true, and honestly, it reflects very clearly on the kind of adult you end up becoming. Evidently, there are people with just poor qualities. I mean, you spot one as soon as you see one. And you'd wish they'd been brought up slightly better. As bitter as this may sound, it's true. Either you're a person with good qualities, or you just have poor qualities. There's nothing further to add there. At some point he says, it is an act of responsibility when it comes to disciplining a child. True, because A, who likes an unruly kid? And B, worse, who likes an unruly and an unsavory adult? No one. So the point is, if you have a kid who's troubling or mischievous in degrees of magnitude, which I'm sure as kids it's normal, they'd like to push boundaries and test patience from time to time. I think that, it's intrinsic to being a kid. Curiosity is only natural. But maybe as parents, persistent correction and guidance teaches them the socially acceptable boundaries and sets the basic expectations for them very clearly. And fundamentally, as humans, being able to socially coexist with people is very crucial. And on that note, you're better off being taught when you're supposed to be and when it's easy for you to be molded right. Sure, you can be eccentric and outcast and exude weirdness throughout, but that's in no way pleasant, and honestly, you're better off not being that. So, do yourself and your kid that favor, I guess? All said and done, haha, I'm no expert on parenting, not by a million miles anyway. But yeah, this is what I took away from the reading. Punishment and discipline are inevitable components of parenting. I sure didn't get away from it, and I'm sure neither did you. So, I guess neither should your kids. As I was reading the book, the first time anyway, I never quite understood why this would be a rule when you've only written 12 rules, right? I mean, why would you dedicate a whole rule to this topic when you've only written 12 rules? But the more I sat down and gave it a thought, a lot of what we do as adults stem from the kind of upbringing we've had. Having the right kind of etiquettes and manners drilled into us makes us better social beings, which ultimately helps in having successful careers, building better relationships, and so on. At the end of the day, you're just a better human being. And evident ripple effects are observed otherwise. So, pick up the book and give it a read. He goes into good detail on why it's critical to raise a disciplined child. I know this sounds commonplace, it sounds very obvious, but I'm sure it's worth your while. Just give it a shot. That's it for this one, folks. If you're to be parents or planning on being one, hope you get to watch this video. Or better, I hope I've induced an ounce of motivation to be better educated about parenting dynamics. If you like what you've heard, give this one a like, and thanks for watching.